A reading from the Gospel of Luke chapter 2, verses 41 to 52. Now every year his parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up as usual for the festival. When the festival was ended and they started to return, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem, but his parents did not know it. Assuming that he was in the group of travelers, they went a day's journey. Then they started to look for him among their relatives and friends. When they did not find him, they returned to Jerusalem to search for him. After 3 days, they found him in the temple, sitting among the teachers, listening to them and asking them questions. And all who heard him were amazed at his understanding and his answers. When his parents saw him, they were astonished, and his mother said to him, "Child, why have you treated us like this? Look, your father and I have been searching for you in great anxiety." He said to them, "Why were you searching for me? Did you not know that I must be in my father's house?" But they did not understand what he said to them. Then he went down with them and came to Nazareth and was obedient to them. His mother treasured all these things in her heart. And Jesus increased in wisdom and in years and in divine and human favor. This is the word of the Lord. The second reading is from the book of Psalms, chapter 2, verses 7 and 8. I will tell of the decree of the Lord. He said to me, "You are my son. Today I have begotten you. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your heritage, and the ends of the earth your possession." The word of the Lord. Christmas season in Christianity lasts for 12 days until the Feast of Epiphany. It is a celebration of the Incarnation, God's presence in humanity. During this time, we are reminded of the importance of embodying the holy, a gift from God that we are to put into practice. When my children were small, they used to watch a cartoon called Captain Planet. Captain Planet was the embodiment of wind, fire, water, and earth, traits given by Gaia, or Mother Earth, to 4 special kids. The kids were to help the planet by stopping pollution. When they needed help, they combined all of their powers to form Captain Planet. He would then fight the villain and save the earth and the day from pollution. In my sermon this morning, I would like to use this example by focusing on and expanding on the 4 weekly themes of Advent, and then propose some practical ways in which we can also be embodiment of these traits. We are called to be people of hope, people of peace, people of joy, people of love. When these 4 themes are integrated into our lives, we are changed, and by extension, so are the people with whom we come into contact. Of course, it also depends upon how often we use them. If we intentionally act with purpose and keep these things in mind, life can and will be different. Perhaps we can use this as a template for our life in the upcoming year. To be a gift of hope means to act in a way which makes it real and tangible in our words and deeds. Not in an unrealistic way, but in the midst of daily reality. Brazilian theologian Ruben Alves once said, "Hope is hearing the melody of the future. Faith is dancing to it today." This means acting like the future is already a reality. It requires a shift of mind and heart. Jesus, in his inaugural sermon, said, "The kingdom of heaven is here. Change your life direction and follow." The second tenet is peace. It is said that people will follow a person who emanates peace. A peace-filled person is not just nonviolent, but they exude an aura of calm assuredness. You can see it by the twinkle in their eye. They often make you feel like you are the most important thing in the world at that moment. They connect at a deeper level than most. And the question might be asked, how did they get to such a place in their life? Firstly, they know who they are at their core. They accept themselves without judgment and move from the inside out. They are not interested in meeting the expectations of other people in order to please them or be liked by them or even to fit in. This does not mean that they are antisocial or arrogant. In fact, it is quite the opposite. They really care for people and want to see them succeed and be the best they can be. So that they're able to do this, they take great care to practice a spiritual discipline such as contemplation and prayer, listening in the silence, and moving out of the way of themselves. They relate to people in a way that gives the other person energy. They do not suck the life out of another. They are life-affirming. The third tenet is joy. Being a person of joy is not the same thing as being happy. Joy is deeper and long-lasting. It penetrates the surface of life through trials and triumphs. A joyful person's life situation does not make their joy fluctuate up and down. It does not try to deny suffering and sorrow. They feel it, but it does not take over their life. St. Paul spoke often of rejoicing in God at all times. He was no Pollyanna in this regard. He too experienced life's up and downs. People of joy see beyond their present circumstances. Tears may fall at night, but joy comes in the morning. Indeed, it is an attitude and approach built on their core foundation. Finally, being a person of love requires openness and vulnerability to another. For more on this, I suggest you read 1 Corinthians 13 about love. Unconditional love is the highest kind of love, and it is given freely without wanting or expecting anything else, including love, in return. Not many people ever get to this point, but it doesn't mean that we should not try. Indeed, to love another is an act of the will. And there are times when loving in such a way is difficult. It means we have to get past prejudices and preconceptions, pet peeves, and expectations of another. We know that this is hard enough to do with people in our family circle, but with people we don't know well or strangers, it can feel impossible to do. And we will not be able to love others until we love ourselves, as I indicated in the first tenet about hope. Becoming more spiritually mature, and by extension, more emotionally mature, is something that we, like Jesus did in his life, should aspire to, because when we do, our connection with life is solidified. This solidification brings more hope, more peace, more joy, and more love. When this happens, we hit the top of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of need pyramid, which is self-actualization. Jesus was a person who embodied self-actualization. Reading the gospel narratives will illustrate what I mean. In his various encounters with people, we see this embodied: compassion, passion, love, mercy, generosity. He gives and only asks his followers to follow him and in turn model his example of living. He also believes that his followers can do it too. He tells them that they have the ability and gives them the power of God's Spirit as good measure. You will recall the angel's reply to Mary's question, "How can this be?" With God, nothing is impossible. God can make something out of nothing. That is what you and I hold on to. The power of God to be transformed and then to transcend is ours for the asking and the taking. I invite you to keep these things in mind as we navigate through the year of 2021. Thanks be to God.